Picture a city of marble and light on a narrow strait between two seas, a place where gold coins set policy as surely as legions ever did, where a whispered title could change a king's mind, and where a banquet was as dangerous as a battlefield, only quieter. Tonight, we open the doors of Constantinople and study the empire that outlived its rivals, not just with swords, but with ceremony, silk, and strategy. Byzantium, the world's longest masterclass in soft power. Stay with me. In 20 minutes, you'll see how gold and treaties often beat armies and why. First, a reset. Byzantine is a word we use today. They called themselves Romans. Their capital, Constantinople, straddled trade routes from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean, from steppe to desert. Geography was their first weapon, a city ringed by seawalls and stone walls, controlling a funnel of ships and caravans. If you control the crossroads, you don't have to win every war. You can choose which wars to avoid. What did their soft power toolbox look like? Imagine a velvet case of instruments, gold coins, treaties, trade privileges, marriages, titles, religion, spies, etiquette, and theater. Byzantium tuned each one carefully, never playing the same melody twice. Start with gold, not greed, stability. The imperial coin, the solidus, later the hyperpyron, was famously reliable, a little disk of trust. With it, emperors funded fortresses and fleets, but they also paid neighbors. Subsidies to restless tribes, cheaper than mobilizing provinces. Gifts to a rival's brother, priceless if it turned a single throne into two competing claims. Divide your problems and they often solve themselves. Treaties were more than ink on parchment. They were choreography. A treaty could fix borders and exchange prisoners, yes, but also assign trade warehouses in the capital, grant a market day, or define who bows to whom and where. One signature could redirect caravans, open a customs gate, or close one. If you think of treaties as traffic lights for wealth, you're hearing the Byzantine rhythm. Then there was marriage. Imperial princesses rarely married foreigners, which made it spectacular when they did. One union could bring a fleet's worth of allies, and when they didn't marry, they still negotiated marriages among kings abroad, a web of in-laws across maps. Family scaled to empires. Religion was a bridge and sometimes a wall. Constantinople had a patriarch and theologians who could argue finer points of doctrine for days, politely. But conversion meant more than belief. It meant a shared calendar, shared law, shared stories. Baptism could be a passport. A shared faith could turn a frontier from a threat into a partner, or at least a predictable neighbor. And when faith divided, diplomats worked overtime to keep doctrine from detonating trade. Now, the theater. Court ritual was policy in costume. Envoys entered the great palace under ceilings of gold. Automata, mechanical birds that sang, bronze lions that roared, were said to astonish visitors. Thrones rose smoothly on hidden mechanisms. This wasn't vanity. It told a message. The empire operates with hidden gears you do not see. Imagine negotiating after that.
Bureaucracy, too, was a soft weapon. Secretaries cataloged foreign names, gifts, offenses, and promises. Handbooks compiled advice about neighbors, what they respected, what they feared, which gifts made sense. If a people revered horses, you sent a stallion with a golden bridle. If a chief valued law codes, you sent a book, bound in silk, that said, "We recognize your wisdom." Gifts tuned to culture become sentences in a language everyone understands. Spies? Yes, but think information, not a cloak and dagger drama. Monks, merchants, and ship captains carried news. Letters traveled along the imperial post roads, dromoi, passing through relay stations that doubled as listening posts. Information let Byzantium spend gold like a scalpel, not a hammer. Let's walk a scenario. A steppe confederation forms north of the Black Sea. Riders raid a border. Option 1, mobilize, risk losses, and leave the capital anxious. Option 2, send an envoy with gifts and a question. Which rival chief feels slighted? Which cousin wants a throne? Byzantine gold backs one claimant. Meanwhile, a treaty grants that group a market stall in Constantinople on condition they police the frontier. Trade, status, and pride flow to your new partner. Raids fall. No trumpet fanfare, just fewer widows. Another scene. A Western power demands recognition. Call our ruler emperor. Byzantium disliked sharing that title, but there are many ways to say no without saying no. Offer a different title with ceremonial weight. Seat the envoy close, but not too close, to the throne at banquets. A centimeter on a cushion can speak louder than a page of protest. Over centuries, the cast of characters changed. Persians, Arabs, Bulgarians, Rus, steppe peoples, crusaders, Italian merchants. The playbook adapted. Against a great caliphate, Byzantium paired fortresses with truces and ransom scales. Against a new Bulgarian power, it mixed marriage, missionaries, and markets. When Italian city-states rose with fast ships and low freight costs, the empire traded monopoly for partnership, granting privileges to one city to counterbalance another. If one ally grew too strong, the privileges shifted. Think of it as rebalancing a portfolio of people. Did this make Byzantium weak? No, it made it selective. When it fought to finish. When it bargained to breathe. The secret was knowing which was which. Picture the Golden Harbor glittering with masts, customs officials, logothates, record bolts of silk, amphoras of wine, sacks of grain. Venetian, Arab, Rus, Armenian voices blend. In a side office, a scribe copies a crucible, an imperial charter with a dangling golden seal, promising a foreign guild tax breaks in exchange for convoy duty next spring. That's diplomacy as logistics. Titles mattered. Words were currency. Basileus, autocrator, archon, patrician. Calling a foreign ruler by a title could grant honor without granting equality. And a visiting chief might receive a Byzantine court rank, complete with robe and belt. Theater that allowed two proud men to stand eye to eye without kneeling. You can save a war if everyone keeps their dignity. And under the glitter, people. A translator with 3 languages and a family to feed. A silk weaver whose loom threads end up as treaty gifts. A monk who knows which kitchen sends the best bread to the palace gate and who visits it on fast days. Soft power is not an abstraction. It is 1,000 hands doing patient work. Let's open the handbook. An emperor known for scholarship compiles notes, the currents of the Black Sea, the seasons of the Danube, the tempers of princes, the fair price of furs, the best month to send an envoy unless you want them snowed in on purpose. Dealing with peoples, the chapter might be called. The advice is simple. Learn enough to respect them and listen enough to predict them.
Ceremonial banquets carried risk. Seating plans signaled status. Dishes arrived in measured order. Musicians entered on cue. Gifts were displayed, never tossed casually, because disrespect can cost more than war. Envoys watched everything: number of candles, distance to the throne, even the plate metal. In Constantinople, details negotiated. Religion again. A king asks for bishops. The empire sends them, with books, architects, and musicians who know the chants. A church rises in a new capital. The liturgy carries prestige and law. Soon, marriages and treaties slip into place, not by command, but by habit. Culture can be a port stronger than any wall. When things went wrong, because they always do, Byzantium adjusted. An ally switched sides, freeze their customs privileges for a year, then quietly reopen a smaller gate once tempers cool. A border lord refused obedience? Call him partner, give him a stipend, and make his disobedience your outsourced defense. If you can't remove a problem, sometimes you can reframe it as a service. Through all this ran the thread of money. A stable coin bought stable friends. Mint masters guarded purity. Treasurers guarded spending. Diplomats guarded timing. Pay too early, you look afraid. Pay too late, you look weak. Pay on the day of a saint important to your partner, and you look wise. One more scene. A northern fleet appears, hungry for trade and reputation. They want a market. The empire wants peace on the straits. Negotiators meet beneath mosaics of gold and lapis. The deal? A river of grain east to west, a lane of furs and wax south to north, and a rule: bring your ships in small groups, register the crew, camp in a designated district, obey curfew. You can visit, you can profit, but you won't threaten the city. That's not fear, that's choreography. In a quiet office, a diplomat trains a junior clerk. Names first, he says. Pronounce them well. Give gifts that won't insult. Promise less in public, more in private. And when you must refuse, refuse beautifully. The clerk, nervous, nods. Tomorrow he will escort envoys through halls where lions of bronze pretend to breathe. Did soft power always work? No, empires wins forever, but Byzantium's longevity, centuries longer than most, came from treating force as one instrument among many. When armies marched, they marched behind policies already negotiated by gold and words. The empire's genius was not in never fighting, it was in keeping choices open until the last possible moment. So, when gold and treaties beat armies, what really wins? Memory, relationships, the habit of solving problems in rooms where no one bleeds. Byzantium shows us that power can be quiet and still be real. As real as a coin in the hand, a seal on a ribbon, a title spoken at the right moment. If you ever visit a city at a crossroads, watch the harbors, the customs houses, the old churches, the palaces turned into museums. You'll find the same tools there: trade, ritual, language, pride. Gold and treaties still beat armies on good days, and that is the Byzantine lesson.
Thank you for traveling through history with me today. If this journey sparked a thought, please give the video a like. It helps other curious minds find it. Subscribe to the channel and tap the bell so you never miss the next story. I read every comment. Tell me which era, mystery, or idea you want next, and how I can make these episodes better for you. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.